iconic pioneer of the labor movement in Trinidad and Tobago, Tubal Uriah Buzz Butler. Fyzabad was once considered the oil belt of Trinidad and Tobago. The funny thing about oil, though, to get to the wealth, you gotta drill and you got to go deep. You got to work very hard to get the wealth. Well, we are here to speak to the councillor for the Fyzabad Siparia West area, Mr. Maurice Alexander, a young man who's not afraid of hard work, a young man who's not afraid to go in the trenches to discuss the issues of the people and attend to their needs. However, as with everything, when you're drilling for oil, you're going to come across some trials, you're going to come across some stuff that you don't really want to see, but you got to go through. The people spoke very candidly about his representation. Many of them praised him, but they're saying that so much needs to be done. But the problem in Fyzabad is bigger than just Maurice or just what any councillor on any side could do, because unfortunately, the wealth that once flowed through Fyzabad, well, the people have not always benefited from it. This is Meet the Councillor.
My Trinidad and Tobago. Whoa, whoa. My Trinidad and Tobago. Keep my heart full of fire that burns so bright. Dedicated to everything that's right. Keep unity and equality in La Trinity. All right. My Trinidad and Tobago. Whoa, whoa. My Trinidad and Tobago. Keep my heart full of fire that burns so bright. Dedicated to everything that's right. Keep unity and
So I'm here in New City, Fyzabad, with Irvin Alexis. He's a resident of the area. Thank you for allowing us a few minutes of your time to talk about the work that's being done in the area. And I'm looking around, looking at the street, I'm looking at the drainage. It seems as though the work has been done in the area. Tell us about what has been done and what you'd like to see being done in the area.
Well, if you could look real good, all these drains, you weren't really here before. Matter of fact, it was some inverts. Came and put on some box drain. You could look and you could see the road have been properly well marked out and all that. And the road have been paved on.
How long has this been done?
Road, about 2 or 3 years ago. 3 years ago, you know. Yeah, all these driveways here, been done also. A lot of stuff have been done here. People are fairly comfortable, you know what I mean, with what the council have done so far. Well, he proved himself so far because one of the things I remember telling Maurice is that people in New City, they will vote for you. When you ask them, what do you all need? One of the response was that what we need is after we vote for you, we'll tell you what we need. And if we could fulfill that, then we could vote for you again. And well, after he won, he came back and he said, what is the need of the people? We did suggested some needs that we have. And one of these was the road and the drains, you know. That was done. Well, over on that side, over there on that side, probably we all will go over there after. There is a field that we like to complete, you know.
Recreation ground.
Yeah, recreation ground.
Right.
There's been some backfill already going on there, but there's more to be done because it's just a couple of loads of backfill. We need about 100 and something loads just to fill up, a lot of backfill to fill up the area, develop it more, and to get that recreation ground going. One of the things again is that this drain here was recently cleaned. This drain here. No, yeah, the box drain continue, but when it reached there, they did come and do some work there. They clean it out, you know, and the excavator came and, you know, make sure that the water is running freely. But as you could see, the grass and other debris come back there again. Now what happens on dry season time, they will do this work. But soon there is no follow-up. And there will be clogs there, and there will be again some flooding there on the stretch where we came from over there. There is a company that we talked to the council about that. There's a company there on that side. They put up their business there. I don't know if the regional corporation probably gave them the okay there, but there was no drainage on the side of the road. And there was a next gentleman on the other side of the road. he came and backfill, and the main drain to go back out into the Fyzabad mainstream, that was blocked. So,
So there's a bottleneck in terms of
yes,
the flow of the
we
water.
need to get that clear.
All right.
And we are asking, the authorities, I don't know what the council have to do, but we need to get that clear there so that it could be running. Some of the 3 points, really and truly in New City here, we don't have problem for lights and things, so really and truly the street lights and thing, everything is checked, okay. But
So that drain
the drain,
So the drainage situation, one with
Yes.
that business, and then the recreation ground.
and the recreation ground. That's the 3 main thing. Other than that, Maurice is doing excellent work, and we will vote for him again.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay then.
Take care, man.
You're nice.
I'm standing here in the midst of royalty. This is Mr. Winston Campbell. He has a street named after him, That's right. He is one of the former councillors for the Fyzabad area. We are in New City still, and it's a pleasure. Thank you for coming with us this morning for a few minutes. How are you doing, sir?
Well, I thank God to be alive
Nice. And we're
right now
grateful.
that I'm in New City,
That's right.
a place that has been developed over the years by the councillor, Mr. Maurice Alexander. And when I was a little boy, it was, down here was bush.
Plain talk.
Yeah, it was bush, and it was mostly governed by the PCO oil field area. So then there's certain developments that has happened in Fyzabad over the years. Fyzabad has always been synonymous with historical events. A Fyzabad that started the Industrial Revolution of a 37 era. A Fyzabad that has produced one of the greatest trade union leaders of all time in Tubal Uriah Buzz Butler. We had such great sportsmen like the Furlong brothers, Hammond, and all these guys who went about to play for the West Indies and Trinidad. We had great men like Billy Ocean, Lloyd Boucher, and we had so much great things that happened in Fyzabad that I started my political career in 1959. I joined the People's National Movement. I had liked Eric, the late Prime Minister, Dr. Eric Eustace Williams, and I grew up in a political house. My father was a butlerite, so I know about eating dasheen and dasheen bush, because it was very hard in those days, right? And I want to say that what the PNM has done for Fyzabad in general has been tremendous under the leadership of the former MP, the late Muriel Donovan McDavidson. Plenty was achieved, plenty. The question of feeding the senior citizens and most of the things and most of the roads that has happened in Fyzabad happened under the PNM. Because we, for 25 years, we had a representative from the UNC who did absolutely nothing for the people in Fyzabad. Absolutely nothing. I mean, to say, well, he can come back and say, well, look, I have done this, or I have achieved this, is joke. It's joke. All the roads, because I used to work down in Jude, right? And I knew all the programs that they had was initiated by the People's National Movement.
I'm listening to you there, and we're hearing of the rich history of Fyzabad. We're hearing of those who would have deposited into Fyzabad. But there are those who will be driving through Fyzabad, and when they look at this rich history, they are still not seeing that collective wealth coming forth. because of, and you know, all of the oil flowing through Fyzabad and all of things happening. So despite that, why do you think that you still seem to see Fyzabad not truly benefiting from the wealth that was deposited over all these decades? What do you think is the problem?
I think Fyzabad, if you notice that we who grew up in Fyzabad would possibly realize, you know, the significant wealth that Fyzabad had due to the oil field, right? But if you realize there was no housing development in Fyzabad, right? In Apex, the people that were employed in the oil field those days, you know, they were given little bungalows and whatnot.
But no major development.
No major development.
Right.
And that was from Apex days. Right. So the people down in Apex had toilets. They had bath. But the people in Upper Fyzabad, which was known as the butler sufferers,
Wow.
right? They used to call us butler sufferers, right? Because we were our father and saying was not working in the oil field, right? To go to the Fyzabad Intermediate School, your parents had to be working in Apex.
Or as I say, crap or smoke your pipe.
Otherwise, according to you, crap or smoke your pipe. You understand? So this is one of the things that is why, you know, we always talk about the development of Fyzabad.
So my last question for you, so looking forward now, in terms of what you'd like to see happen in Fyzabad, what is your wish list, briefly?
Well, I would like to see Fyzabad develop more. When I was councillor, you know, they used to call me the architect of sports. You know, I had football going, I had basketball going, I had netball going on the Delay Road Recreation Ground, which we call the Gallows. I don't know why. I was doing some research to find out why they call it the Gallows, but I never got to find out. And those days, there was a tremendous aspiration by the young people. You know, I got them involved in sports because I believe in sports could turn a whole generation, right? But now, we've got lights on the ground.
But nothing going on.
Well, I mean, they have some little thing going on. But that kind of progressiveness that we had, you know, during my time. And during my time was a hard time too because it was the time of the Black Power movement. And they were saying, well, PNM sent me to disorganize the people. I said, no, you know, you understand? Because before I became councillor, you know, we had a meeting in Fyzabad. And when I finished spoke and thing that the Prime Minister, the late Prime Minister, he said, come, Winston, you got to be the damn councillor. You understand? Because those days you couldn't be a councillor just so. You know, they felt that to be a councillor you had to go to the university at the West Indies or go to Cambridge and whatnot. You know, but I had believe in the loyalty of serving the young people in Fyzabad. So I would like to see that again.
Lots of sports.
I would like to see the emphasis must be on sports because sports could change the whole system of man. You know that.
All right.
All right. My Trinidad and Tobago. Whoa, whoa. My Trinidad and Tobago.
All right, we're here still in New City, and we are with Miss Shaniqua Woods. Earlier, when I heard about the recreation ground, that's the ground to the back of us. She's living right next to the ground. So thank you for just giving us a few minutes of your time today, right? So first of all, under Mr. Maurice Alexander, Councilor Alexander, how has representation been for you?
I think the representation has been very well. I must make mention of the drain work that has been in progress here. There's still a lot of work to be done, but with that drainage, with the work construction has been done, as you can see. My neighbor, she used to be flooded a lot, so that has helped a lot in this community. Because
I can tell because of the kind of the valley that she's living in.
Yes,
here, whatever, right?
yes. With the continuation of the field, the playground, I think everyone will be glad to have that in this community. When we have to recreate with our kids, we have to go out of Fyzabad. That will be a great, you know, fun activity for the children in this community as well as for the adults.
Now, in terms of the camaraderie in the community, you know, what is that like, the community, live in the community spirit? How was that in the New City area?
It's very good. Everybody seemed to be very peaceful and calm and, you know, just, I mean, some of them are to themselves, but very respectable people. The young people in this community are very, you know, constructive. They think about working hard, they work hard, they want better opportunities, job opportunities, but I think everybody's doing quite okay this far.
From a young person perspective, again, you know, looking from the wider, you know, scope of Trinidad and Tobago, do you think Fyzabad is forgotten by quote-unquote mainstream media, the government on a whole, and this is not really, you know, looking at PNM or UNC, but just generally over the years, do you think that not enough attention has been placed on Fyzabad over the years?
I would agree to some extent. I think we can have a little bit more development in Fyzabad, like bring a little bit more businesses, of the big businesses, into Fyzabad. Yes, we know the court is there, the children court is there. That was also, you know, a surplus for us here in Fyzabad, but I think we could do it a little bit more. Yes.
All right. I want to thank you very much. A short while ago, you heard from a young lady that was speaking of her neighbor who was affected by flooding years ago, until the councillor actually positioned this box drain here. Well, this is the neighbor standing with me, so I'm sure she's seeing brighter days because of the work that was done by the councillor, Ms. Nayo John. Thank you for joining us for a few minutes on this session of Meet the Councillor. So first of all, tell us of your experience being served by the councillor for the area, Maurice Alexander.
Okay, so far, Maurice did for us. We had plenty flood in the back here. And to eliminate the floods, he cleaned the drains, he built roads, you know, and then on top of that, he started the ground. That ground was now long overdue.
Let's
You
back up
know?
a bit with the flooding. How bad was the flooding before the drains were built? How bad?
Oh, well, naturally, where we standing here, this is New City. This is the whole of New City. All the flood waters come here, flood here. They join here and back up here.
Right.
Because the floods, the water cannot go nowhere. So, this year, he cleaned the drains. So, we hope this year, no floods again, you know. So,
Praise God for that.
cleaning the drain right now is a big help right now for us.
And
for me.
I also realized that the work continues, I was said before, because we have lower down, whereby it more or less is kind of halfway completed.
Yeah. Well, that's just for a while. We had some problems more to the stretch where the water was backing up, but now I feel that that problem it's solved right now. So, yeah.
All right, so in terms of the area generally, there are a lot of young people in Fyzabad, and you know, I know, like in every other community, you keep hearing about the issue of employment and the issue of finding jobs for young men in particular. Is that something that is also plaguing the Fyzabad community?
Yes, right now, the kind of things what going on in country, it have plenty youths right now in Fyzabad need jobs. They're on the streets, and it have children like from, say, like 9 years to say 15 years. It don't have nothing for them at all to do. Right now, they'll be playing football on the streets. They'll be, you know, misguided otherwise. So right now, if we get something for them to do, at least, you know, that will help them off the streets right now.
And the thing is, one thing I know about Fyzabad and Siparia and extension is that a lot of the, when it comes to culture, a lot of cultural ambassadors, they would have been birthed right here in Fyzabad, right here in Siparia.
Yeah.
And the Bible says that your gift will make a way for you. But if you don't have someone to unwrap that gift and show your potential, it's not going to happen. So that is something I think that I've noticed in a lot of rural communities. But speaking of Fyzabad and Siparia, and I know Best Village as well was big back in those days.
Yes, that is, right now it still have classes with dance. That is very few. It have football, very few. Things like basketball. We need some like a coach because some children will be interested in basketball. You know, this kind of, it have things like volleyball. You know, it have cheerleading right now. I trying to get my children right now in cheerleading class, at least something to do with our police youth group, you know. It have minor sports here in Fyzabad and in the school systems too. That lacking because sometimes we have to go out of Fyzabad to get something done, you know.
So you're saying that if the opportunities are presented to them, they will take it?
They will take it and stay within the community.
All right. Okay,
Yes.
so you heard it there. Thank you very much. God blessings to you.
All right. My Trinidad and Tobago. Whoa, whoa. My Trinidad and Tobago.
We are here on Bryan London Street. Name ring a bell?
From the days on the plantation, that is where Calypso starts. Rising out of the ghetto, heading for tomorrow, moving on a new path.
Yeah, man, I could try and sing a little thing for you, but nah, I'm going to embarrass myself. So, next to me we have a gentleman living on Bryan London Street. This is Mr. Richard Heath, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, and thank you for giving a few minutes of your time today. We're here to highlight Fyzabad and, of course, the work being done by Councilor Maurice Alexander. Have you been pleased thus far by his representation?
Yes, I have been very, very pleased. That young man is a gem. He's a gem. I must say he's a gem.
Yeah, Maurice.
Yes. Maurice embraced both the young and the old. You know, he has been working tremendously in this area, what we call Fyzabad, Siparia West. And I don't think there's any other person to replace him at this time.
Can you highlight for us some specific things that he did that you were pleased about?
For example, right in this area here, we have the railing. This was done by Councilor Alexander. We have a drain that runs east-west along this direction there. That drain took a lot of water from the hill and take it down into the valley, you know, to escape a lot of flooding in this area here. So I, as a community member, have been very, very pleased with the work done by Mr. Alexander.
Outside of what he has done, what would you like to see be done moving forward?
Well, there's so much more could be done, but at this time, I think, well, our largest feedback here is employment for the young people.
I've been hearing that a lot here.
Yeah, that is so much lacking in this community here.
How has that impacted the community, though, the lack of employment?
Well, the lack of employment have young people doing a lot of crazy stuff. Because for the past, let's say, 2 months or so, we have lost a lot of young men in our community.
As into violence?
Yes, violence. A lot of shooting, a lot of that, you know. So I think that if those young people were meaningfully employed, we was going to have a difference.
And these young people now, again, let's be realistic. Some of these young people, and I asked this question before, if the opportunities are provided, do you believe that they would embrace it or would they push it away? I'm not saying all, but do you believe that collectively the majority will say, you know what, I want it? Or do you believe that many of them will say, you know, I prefer to live, quote unquote, the life?
No. In my opinion, a lot of them will embrace that opportunity because it's bringing in money to their families, you know. So this is my opinion.
All right, okay. Thanks a lot.
Yeah,
Appreciate
you're welcome,
you.
All right. My Trinidad and Tobago. Whoa, whoa. My Trinidad and Tobago. Keep my heart full of fire that burns so bright.
We vibes in, we lime in Fyzabad. I'm here in Patterson Avenue.
Yeah.
Yeah, feeling the love, man. All right, so I'm here with Sarah Martin. Sarah?
Yeah.
Stephen? Young boy named there is? Don't hide, no. You're hiding from me. hey, 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 hey. All right, and the young lady there? Huh? What's that? What's her name? Carmelita. That's Carmelita. Hey, Spanish name, boy. Ay, ay, ay. All right, so we're here in Patterson Avenue. We continue to on our Meet the Councilor route in Fyzabad. We're talking about Maurice Alexander. Tell us about the representation that you've received thus far from Maurice over the years. How has it been?
Very grateful, successfully. I had issues years ago concerning where I live. I had drainage problem, and I tried all how to get help and couldn't get help. And I remember when Maurice became councillor, I visited him at the first time, and within 3 months, I had get through with him, and he's had started the project Home by Me, and it was really, really great.
In terms of the problems with the drainage, what exactly was in terms of flooding? What was really happening?
We always have flooding. This area is a flooded area, and within different councillors and seat and whatever, we never get an answer. So we decided to come together and visit Maurice in his office and had a brief...
As a community?
Yeah,
right.
Had a brief talking with him. He visited, and things started to go on. Within that same year, he was became councillor.
One thing I realized with the Fyzabad community, people might ask themselves the question in terms of so much emphasis on drainage. If you look at the landscape, there are a lot of valleys. Yeah. So you find that during the rainy season, you would experience plenty of flooding. It really was something of priority from looking at things where they had to get draining done. But I'm also seeing that it's a lot of work, and there are a lot of drainage work still to be completed, correct?
Yeah.
Anywhere in particular you like to highlight that still needs to be done in the area?
Well, so far, he did a lot for us. The road, he had paved the road, put speed humps, as you see, for the kids, because, we complain and tell them how cars is be speeding and whatever.
I'm confused. Tell me exactly what space that is speed here. Why can't even choose the speed here?
They does.
That's a whole different story.
If you sit down here within a few minutes, you will see how they just come in a rush.
And the thing is, I'm saying that, I mean, just to be, we have 2 children here. And if you look at it, this is it's a village.
Yeah, it is.
This is like a blind spot, this corner here, and you'll see it afterwards as well. So why would you even be speeding in an area like this? Doesn't really make much sense. But anyhow, go ahead.
Yeah, and tell us sometimes to come after he did the speed hump that he would have put a mirror there because a blind corner.
A fisheye.
Right?
Right.
And even by me where I live, there is a bridge, and one side has broken down. So like when water starts with the flooding, it started to overflow. So he said that he will try to see if he get that done also. Right. But we know everything takes time, but I'm sure with his words, I'm positively sure he will do it.
All right.
Yeah.
So you would like to see him come again to at least finish what he started?
Yeah, but I know once he say he will get it done. I know he's a man had to do for everybody else too, so
And I know I spoke to some of the young men. They're not here right now on camera, but a lot of them were saying, and Stephen could actually testify to this, that they are willing to come together and do whatever work on the bridge and all of that.
Yeah, yes, and it's true. He does help the youths too and give them little chance in like cleaning drainage and stuff through cooperation. He go assist them, give them a good word instead of being illiterate all over. Boy come in, go check the office, and always give the youths a good advice.
Now, one thing we heard from, as we kind of wrap things up with, and I'm really enjoying this setting here, I must say. One thing I'm observing, many children in this area, right? As well as many young men. I see like they involved into music and that kind of thing. We were just talking to us now that that could be on like your building boxes and stuff in the back there, right?
Yeah.
There are a lot of brilliant young men and women in this community, whether it be in the area of culture, whether it be in other areas as well. Would you like to see more doors being opened for them in the Fyzabad area? Is that always a concern?
Yeah, yes.
What would you like, how long, what would you like to see happen in that respect?
Well, seeing how we have a lot of youths here, right? Plenty of them have potential. So maybe, probably if they have a club or probably some place like with, as they say, they love music.
Right.
They could get themselves, involved and be better than be hanging out and getting themselves in trouble. And being, having a sort of like this kind of gang thing and drugs and all
as
them
you mentioned
things.
that, I know, and like any community, whether it, yes, it's a small community,
Yeah.
but this small community is really a micro of the macrocosm society, which means you're going to have your elements of crime
Yeah.
and your elements of different things happening. Has it been a major problem for you in terms of crime in this area, or, you know?
No.
All right.
Most
Very
of the
close-knit.
time, yeah, the youths and them here, they play football in the spare time.
Right.
We always making a cook across there. They always had us self-occupied.
All right.
Yeah.
I want to thank you very much. Stephen here just for moral support, you understand? But again, he did acknowledge that they're willing to work. They're willing to do whatever it takes to work with the councillor to fix the bridge and whatever else needs to be done in the area. These young men are into music as well. So let's continue to encourage them, right? And what's this, Carmelita? Shake my hand. Shake my hand. Shake my hand. Oh, come on. That was stretching. Man, I'm big for that shake hand. All right. Right. All right, we out.
All right. My Trinidad and Tobago. Whoa, my Trinidad and Tobago. Keep my heart full of fire that burns so bright. Dedicated to everything that's right.
We are here with the councillor for Fyzabad, Siparia West, Mr. Maurice Alexander. How are you doing, sir?
I'm fine.
Nice meeting with you again.
Let me take the opportunity to welcome you all in Fyzabad.
I know Fyzabad.
You know Fyzabad, you're a Fyzabad man.
Yeah.
Very well.
It's really a pleasure being here today, and you know, in speaking with the people, we met with the people first. We wanted to get a feel of their heartbeat for you, number one, as well as for the community. And one thing you're seeing that is synonymous with most of them, if not all of them, is that they are in alignment with your vision for the community and for, of course, the future of Fyzabad. However, yes, there are some concerns which we will address. But first and foremost, let's get to the man, Maurice Alexander. I've heard many councillors in the past say that many people in public office will say it's a very thankless job.
Of course it is.
The man didn't give him a chance to ask the question.
Yes,
All right,
yes.
I guess you agree.
Yeah, definitely.
So where do you get your thanks? Where does your satisfaction come from? Clearly not from man.
Well, as you said, the job of being a councillor or representative of the people indeed is a very, I'd say it's a thankless job. Again, in the, you know, given the tediousness, the type of job. But I gain my strength from the people in the sense of seeing, you know, the joy that they bring, that you bring to them when you contribute towards their development. Just not only physical, like physical infrastructural development, because, you know, sometimes people see you as the person to bring your drain and your road and your bridge. That's what a savior. But it goes beyond that. There's social development, their overall and holistic development. And that is when you have that passion for people, that you can intervene into their lives and make a deposit into their lives. And that is where I gain my strength from. That is the joy for me. That's my passion. And I just am exuberant with it. And I share it. And that's what have me in a sing still today.
You mentioned people. And where there's people, there's purpose.
Correct.
However, where there's purpose, purpose is always birthed through pain. Politics can be a very painful thing.
Yes.
Right? Was this always your dream to enter this area of politics, given what it could bring?
Yeah. No, well, I never saw or thought that I would have gotten eventually into politics. But when that time came around and I decided to throw my hat into the system of politics, I felt it was very easy.
What was the catalyst? What exactly was that defining moment when you said, listen, I want to walk this narrow road? When was that, and what, you know?
It was in 2010, it's after the general election. And, you know, I had in my mind, you were hearing a lot of young people like myself, and I was part of that voice of complaining, of sharing the issues of who not doing and who doing, and just complaining.
Right.
And I then decided to myself, listen, instead of complaining and being a part of that band, what are you doing? What is your contribution? How are you contributing to making that change? And you can't do that by complaining. You can't do that from the back. You cannot do that at the side. You need to get involved. And it was that defining moment for me that I decided, listen, in 2010, just after the general election, the local election was called, and I decided that, listen, I'm going to get myself involved. I'm going to throw my heart into this system called politics. And it was so easy for me because it is, to me, it was an extension of who I am. Because before politics, I'm still involved in my community, youth groups, churches, and you know, my whole life growing up, and even still now, is
that's your DNA, basically.
I'm wired so.
Yeah, great.
Right.
So you're wired, so you're connected to your community.
That's right.
You're connected to the people. And of course, that spark comes from, of course, your seeing purpose in the youths and, of course, the general growth for Fyzabad. So we were talking to some of the people earlier on, and we want to make some rounds without your presence there to kind of get a feel of what they're saying. And generally said they are pleased with what you're doing. I want to kind of pinpoint some specific projects that they mentioned that would have either been started and not completed. And then, so first of all, let's talk about this recreation ground. I think it's a new city. It's been about 2 years now. Yours started, but you know, it's what has been the key back with that, and can you shed some light as to, you know, what's the update to that?
One of the issues, but first to begin, I must say that when we did the whole plan of developing new city, we first looked at, apart from just the physical, the roads and drains, we looked at wanting to have an open space for the young people in which to recreate, and that was identified. Now the issue, when you identify an open space, you need to look at ownership, and that normally takes a little period. We were able only this year to get all of those paperwork and all those red tapes covered.
Those logistics have been completed.
Out of the way, and that's why up until last week we actually got the ground cut, the backfilling as we speak, and within the next 2 weeks, the young people in that area will be able to utilize the ground.
Okay.
I'm looking at, and I'm in discussion at this time with the Minister of Public Utilities, who is going to be paying a visit next week as well.
Paying lights as well.
That's right. So he's paying a visit to the, he has agreed to come and visit the area so as to look at the feasibility of lighting the area. And I know that there's going to be a tremendous piece of infrastructure that is going to develop the sporting talent in that community. And if I may say, they usually played football close to a pumping jack, which in itself is hazardous, which itself is dangerous. And I was amazed when I went there and I saw that, and it's dangerous, and therefore that moved me to ensure that we get an open space, a proper area to play.
All right, let's stay with that area. I don't want to call the actual business place, but one resident stated that there's a business there that may be contributing to some drainage issues.
Yes.
I know that is probably out of just your purview as a councillor, but I know they will have brought it to your attention. Is that, as much as you can highlight, is that being looked into?
Yes, that is being looked into.
What's the problem there, though, generally, if you can state?
The problem is that the drainage needs to be reconfigured. There's some drainage issues that need reconfiguring. Again, infrastructural development. And it falls in our remit as the council and through the corporation.
Okay.
However, again, our funding issue at this time is what is hampering those projects from getting off the ground.
And we'll get to that shortly.
To really deal with. But you know, one of the good things I appreciate with the residents is that their understanding, all right, and their patience as well, especially in a time like this, which I mean, I can understand if they become impatient, all right, but they understand, you know, they communicate.
That's important. So you all have an open relationship, open dialogue,
very open relationship.
transparent.
I am always giving feedback as well, because I think people will want to know what is happening with their project, what is happening with their requests. So that is actually.
Staying with that, you know, that point you made there, I've met many councillors who state very openly that many people do not understand the role and function of a councillor. They sometimes get the wires crossed, as you talk about the wires just now, in terms of what's the role of an MP and the role of a councillor. And sometimes they expect more out of a councillor when it may be under the purview of an MP. Have you ever had that challenge? And if so, can you clarify, even for those that you represent right now, what is your role and function, and what are some of the do's and don'ts where you're concerned?
But if I may, and you're quite right, that has been early in the game, as early as 2013 when I became the councillor. One of the things my team and we actually got down in doing from the onset is educating the people.
Right.
Educating them and really sharing with them information that is pertinent towards their development. So up to today, we have not stopped going back into every community and educating persons about the role of a councillor, the role of the member of parliament. As well, the relationship that the councillor and the Member of Parliament ought to have, again, towards the development of the people in which they all represent. All right? The thing is, in sharing with them the difference between, because you would have persons believing that your councillor is this person that has to do every single thing for you.
Correct.
But I think in educating them, I have not really had that challenge.
Oh, that's good.
I want to be honest, in terms of having persons, they don't understand, and they're all hot-head about it. But I think because of that system that we have, which we have started, which is going to the communities, educating the people, sharing with them what my role and functions are, and likewise what the role and function of the Member of Parliament. And the Member of Parliament, really, we have a good relationship. Both the Member of Parliament and myself, we have a really, really good relationship, because I see no political affiliation and all this stuff.
You've always said that.
Yes, I don't have time for that.
Right.
I think we are here to represent the people. When it's time for election, let the people decide. But representation goes above all these things. Representation of the people goes above these things. And the people they genuinely see these things. No longer can we be tribal and believe that we could hold this group and we hold that group. No, people are they are exposed, they are more intelligent, they are questioning certain things, they are not just accepting anything. And to me that is good. That is good, and we are seeing that hope in Fyzabad.
Let's go now back to the projects again. So we also went into Patterson Street, right? But a really nice community there, a really close-knit community there. And same thing, they have the same issue with flooding from before. And I spoke to one, Miss Sarah Martin, I believe her name is, and she was really thankful. Within a short while, she came together with a group, and of course you came and dealt with the whole drainage issue because of the same flooding. Because I mentioned in Fyzabad, the landscape is such whereby a lot of valleys.
Yes.
So you will have that issue, a perennial issue. So 2 quick points again. There's a bridge there, and I saw this in a couple areas where work could have started on a drainage, and then you had to stop. And then you have this now bottleneck of water that will happen. It is a cause of concern, and she mentioned that one side was completed, and she's very confident. She's confident that you will get the other half done. But tell us about these unfinished drainage works.
A lot of it, and not only drainage, but a lot of unfinished projects, and that has a lot to do with the funding that we receive.
Why is it so challenging with the funding?
Well, given the economic situation in the country, just not only the Siparia Regional Corporation, because every corporation and every councillor could attest to
some who might say it's a political thing. That's not the case.
No, that's not the case. That's not the case at all. And I think people genuinely in this country understands that the economy at this point in time, not just only in the country but in the world, has taken a nose dip, and they are willing to really, most people are willing to really put forward that hand, the best foot forward, into being, understanding and really working together to bring up the economy. As I said, our challenge in the regional corporation is that funding that we have to receive from central government, where we are accustomed probably in the past receiving a larger quantity. Now we have to work with less, doing more. And but again, the people would have issues that the projects cannot be completed because of the fact that, again, as I said, it's funding, but they understand because of the communication that we have with them, feeding them with the information of where we are, where we are going. And more importantly, I think one of the things that in the areas where you would have people, as you said it when you spoke with them, that they are confident that the other side or the other part of the project
they would have said that.
It is because these were areas that were neglected. They were areas
she
that were
mentioned
neglected
that. I remember
for years.
she mentioned that, yeah.
And therefore, the actual fact that we came in and we begun work, started work, or continued or completed work in some of these areas, these people are actually, the communities are actually seeing development, they are seeing the improvement. Everything cannot be done at the same time, but I'm certain it is up to them.
So there's hope in the promise of
very, very hope, a lot of hope in the promise.
All right, so we want to move along now to another issue. We want to talk about, generally speaking, in terms of unemployment. Several women indicated that, the men too, but most of the women we spoke to, that there's a major issue with unemployment. She also mentioned, 2 of the ladies also mentioned that, because I asked the question very blunt, it's also down to choice. So I asked her, I said, if opportunities were presented to these young men and women, would they take it generally, or would it be like trying to beat a dead horse? Most of them said, you know what, the majority will take it. Do you agree? Or
I totally agree with that, and I also agree with the fact you know, this is not any secret. This is something I'm very open about in my area. We have a large percentage of unemployment in my area. Yeah. All right, a lot of young people are unemployed. There is a portion, I categorize them into 3 groupings. Right. There are those who, for the tertiary level, are qualified, certified, and you know, are awaiting jobs that they apply and that kind of stuff. Then there's the other category of a lot of skilled young men and women in our community. Again, because of the industrial environment that we have within Fyzabad and neighboring communities like Labray and Santa Flora and Palaseco and these areas, coming out of the oil industry itself. So we have a lot of skilled young men. They are certified as well. And I mean, again, as I said, the demand is great, the supply is, you know, so this is some of the issues. But I believe in the intention that we have in terms of trying to create employment, we would be able to get a lot of them accepting if it's offered to them. Yes. All right. I will go further to even add that we have had over the past year or two a serious issue with crime amongst young people in the community of Fyzabad. And I'm not one to hide things where you know, and call it as it is. Again, the socio-economic and social issues really that affect our community, that is affecting my community, really is contributing towards it. But we are not giving up. We are continue working with some of the families, all right?
Have you tried to implement some programs? I mean, I know there's only so much you can do as a councillor, because one lady did say, I think it was Martin as well, that you've even assisted some of the young men in terms of seasonal work. But there's only so much you can do.
And that is through the regional corporation. Right. But outside of that, we would have invited companies and other industries to come in and, you know, do what you call these career fairs and health fairs and that kind of stuff. So as to present options, all right? Working with the schools as well, in terms of in whatever way they would want assistance, you know, in terms of sharing information with them so that you can be able to channel information so that the young people in particular can really go into certain areas. So we continue to be hopeful that we will capture more of the young people and really bring more onto the path of righteousness, I should say.
Yeah. Like that. All right, so let's kind of just wind things up a bit here. So I want to go on a general topic now, and then we're going to close off. I spoke to Mr. Winston Campbell. Very, very, very strong statements were made by him. He's a former councillor of the area. He would have been around when we were, so he would have seen things that, you know, we only hear about. Yes. And one of the points that really was like a dagger in you know, in terms of in the heart, I think, of the people of Fyzabad, and it continues to bleed today, would be no really structured housing development. He mentioned that in the days of Apex and Trinidad, only this 1%, right, selected few would have benefited, and you are seeing it. I know, again, you're looking, but this is a big issue, and you see it when you look through Fyzabad. Why can't we get that right? Again, as much as you can highlight, why can't we get that right yet to this day, a place that has been like the oil belt of Fyzabad? Why?
And he's right. Former Councilor Campbell, who is actually my political mentor, is right. This, in the days gone by, through the oil company, there were, and there still are these places that where you have these housing developments. Again, but that was solely for the expats when they were here. All right. With the closure, obviously, of not Petrotrin at the time, but it would have been Tesoro, Texaco, and those years. That you saw that decline. Over the years, however, I know it was under former Prime Minister Mr. Manning, who did in fact begin the discussion of looking at housing development in Fyzabad. We actually have, I think it's about 12 units. AGC has constructed 12 units in Fyzabad. And we are looking at right now, I think this discussion started, again with this present government, of looking at another area to construct 75 units. Wow. All right. And that area has been identified. I think it is behind the intermediate school. Somewhere behind the intermediate school, I think it is there. So this is on the drawing board. And again, we will see some sort of housing development taking place on a larger scale. As I said, the AGC a couple of years ago, they began the program of building 6 units or 12 units, I think it is. And there was a fill, and we will see another 75. I'm hopeful for that. I'm hopeful for that because that is something within on the drawing board, as I said, at this present moment.
So, MP for Fyzabad, how that sounding? How's that sounding, Mr. Maurice?
Sounds good.
Sounds good? Sounds good, but is it only sounding good? No, some again who we spoke to said this is an office that you should aspire to. Is this something that you have been praying about, even give it any thought?
Yeah, I have given it some thought, and when I entered into politics at the local level, I have said to myself, wherever it takes me, wherever the people would want me, and through God and after God, where they will want me to go, I am ready to serve. And that's the passion. So people meet me, they approach me often and say, but you need to go for MP, you need to go for MP. And I am just patient and awaiting the move of just
God.
not only myself, but the people after God.
Nothing out of alignment of the will of God. Any closing remarks for the people at this time, and you want to say thank you?
Yes, I would really want to say to the residents of Fyzabad, my entire electoral district, Siparia West Fyzabad, and it's important for me to state this here publicly. I know some of you would know that I have offered myself again for another term to serve you, the residents of Fyzabad, and particularly the electoral district of Siparia West as well. And looking forward for your continued support. Again, I have always made mention to you, the people, that it is not about me, but it's about us, all right? It's about you in your business and about your development. I am just offering myself and will continue to do so to serve you. So I'm looking forward for your continued support. Elections is supposed to be this year, and just to continue the good work that we have all started. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much. And
Indeed.
thank you very much for
No
coming to
problem.
Fyzabad.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward for
Anytime.
more of this. Thank you.
Thanks again.
All right.
My Trinidad and Tobago, whoa, whoa, my Trinidad and Tobago, keep my heart full of fire that burns so bright, dedicated to everything that's right, keep unity and equality in La Trinity. Yeah. All right. My Trinidad and Tobago, whoa, whoa, my Trinidad and Tobago, keep my heart full of fire that burns so bright, dedicated treasure democracy and our history. My Trinidad and Tobago. Whoa, whoa. My Trinidad and Tobago. Keep my heart full of fire, the burn so bright. Dedicated to everything that's right. Keep unity and equality in La Trinity. We are one heart. We are I bleed red, white and black, and there's no turning back. I see hope for the future. We must take it further. So much here to treasure, gifted beyond measure. We've done such great things and continue to do much more. My Trinidad and Tobago. Whoa, whoa. My Trinidad and Tobago. Keep my heart full of fire that burns so bright.